Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about 3 moves that I think the Washington Commanders should make before the trade deadline. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Super close to 9,000 subscribers, about 30 away, so please help me get there. About 65% of the people who are watching are not subscribed, so go ahead, subscribe, get me to 9K. We'll also talk about a little bit of a Carson Wentz update, so let's get right into it. So the Washington Commanders are 2-4 right now, last place in the NFC East, and the Eagles are 6-0, the Giants are 5-1, the Cowboys are 4-2, and likely getting Dak Prescott back. But the Commanders, obviously, it's very early in the season, and they're obviously not as good as the Eagles and probably the Cowboys and, the Giants as well. But in their minds, they probably still think they have a shot to win some games this year. Maybe get to the playoffs somehow. At this point, I don't see that. But there's a chance, so there are some things that they could do to improve this team and get more assets in general. And, there's still some time before the trade deadline. And if they're really still not good by the trade deadline, that's when you got to start selling more and more pieces. So let's start off with option 1, and I'll give the I'll start with the Carson Wentz update actually. So the time frame seems like it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks. Heineke's going to be the starter. Sam Howell will be the backup, and he hasn't officially met with the specialist in LA. That'll happen later today, so that could change the time frame, but for now looks like he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Hopefully he recovers really fast, but I think that most Commanders fans would want him out for 6 weeks so we can keep that second round draft pick. So the first move that I think we should make is trade William Jackson III. He wants out. Seems like we don't really want him. He's been playing awful. He's been terrible this year. He was not good last year. We're paying him like $13.5–14 million a year, and that's a lot of money. And if a team's willing to take on that salary and give us an asset, that is a win for the Commanders. That is a huge win for the Commanders if they can get something for him and save salary cap for this year and next year. If they can do that, I would absolutely love it. Ian Rappaport said there are several teams interested in William Jackson III. So, before I didn't think there'd be a chance we could get anything for him. Now that they're saying several teams interested, maybe we can get a 5th round pick. 4th I think is way too. I would not give up much for William. If I'm another team, I'm not giving up anything for William Jackson III. But they want to. He was a good player before. There was a reason the Bengals didn't pay him, and he hasn't worked out here. So I don't know. I wouldn't trade for him, but if a team's willing to give us a 5th round pick, I would absolutely accept that offer. We get a future 5th round pick, which isn't much, but it's an asset, and they get William Jackson III and that contract along with it. So trading William Jackson III is a must before the trade deadline. I don't care what happens, what injuries happen. You have to trade him. You get some assets. It's not a lot, but you get a mid-round draft pick, and that's a win in my opinion. So I think that's what you should try to do, and as soon as possible. Or you could wait a little bit for some teams to, get some more cornerback injuries. Could happen. And I think William Jackson III, I would say there's probably a 75–80% chance he gets traded before the deadline, or he's gone before the deadline. If we can't find a trade partner, then he could get cut. But I think he will be gone after the trade deadline is over, and I think that is something they need to do. He just hasn't been good here. Benjamin St. Juste has been much better than him. Kendall Fuller hasn't been great. He's been bad, but I'll take him over William Jackson III, and Rashad Wildgoose actually has been pretty solid as well. Next, I think we should bring back Eric Flowers. Eric Flowers played really well for us, while he was here in 2020. Or wait, no, was it 2019? And last year, 2021, he played really well for us. And I think that, he wasn't an all-pro, but he was an above-average guard, and we moved on from him. But, you could have Andrew Norwell stick him. He played better last week. He did. If you want to keep him there, and put Eric Flowers at right guard. And then, you keep Lucas at right tackle until Cosme comes back, and then put Cosme back in. Eric Flowers would just help out this offensive line a lot. He knows the system. He knows these teammates, a lot of them, and he wouldn't cost much, and he could come in and just play really well. John Matsko obviously has done wonders for Eric Flowers, and I think it would really help Eric. It would be good for Eric Flowers, but also good for us if we could bring him back. It would be cheap. I don't know if it's gonna happen. If it didn't happen at this point, especially with the long week that we had after the game, Thursday night game. If it hasn't, it didn't happen by now, I don't think it'll happen. But I think bringing in Eric Flowers would be a great move for the Commanders. Would help out the offensive line a lot. A lot of his teammates like him. He's a feisty guy. He defends the quarterback. I'm sure Heineke loves him. And again, knows the system, knows the teammates, and is just a good player. It's plug. You can just plug him in, and he's gonna play well. Not a lot of players you can do that with because they don't know the system. But Eric Flowers does, and I think it would make a lot of sense because even though Andrew Norwell played a little bit better, Sadiq Charles still isn't great, and I think Eric Flowers is 100% an upgrade over Sadiq Charles. So that is what I would do personally. And then the next move is I still would bring in a linebacker. Alexander Johnson would be a great option. There was a lot of other options earlier this offseason and even once the season started, but a lot of those options have been picked up. Blake Martinez, AJ Klein, Quan Alexander, others as well. Aluaquan from the Jaguars, Leighton Vander Esch. A lot of the good linebackers were taken, and Washington took too long. Cole Holcomb hasn't been great this year. Jamin Davis he's definitely been better than last year. But still, would not mind another linebacker that could play. And Alexander Johnson would be a solid option. I don't know why he hasn't been signed yet. I heard some rumors about some off the field issues that are being resolved, so that could be the reason because he's played really good he's played at a really high level the last couple years. Last year though, did get injured after a few games. So small sample size, but had some really good coverage grades last year, and missed tackling percentage was 0. He's a really good run stopper, really good in tackling, and a solid coverage guy as of late. Before he wasn't a good coverage guy, but he's gotten better. So he's a guy I would try to go after. AJ Klein would have been a guy, and I was thinking about defensive line, but the D line actually has been very, very good. The depth there has been, better. James Smith-Williams has stepped up, I feel like. Casey Toole has been solid. And then the interior defensive line, Jonathan Allen, Jerron Payne have just carried this defensive line, this defense. They played really well. They've played a lot of snaps. I think, those guys have been good. I don't think you need necessarily to bring in an interior defensive lineman backup. You could bring Star Lutulelli, but I think they're fine. And then just some more news right now came out on Carson Wentz. This is from Ian Rappaport, and I'll just go and show you guys right here. This is from Carson. Yeah, so Carson Wentz is set for surgery to repair his fractured finger later today, sources say, and it likely will be 4 to 6 weeks, and we could put him on injured reserve to get a roster spot, and I hope they put him on injured reserve, get him out for 4 weeks at least, and you free up a roster spot. So unfortunate for Carson Wentz, but it might help the Commanders avoid the worst case scenario for this season, which would have been winning 6-7 games, getting a terrible draft pick, 14th, 12th overall, or 10th, whatever, and then also giving the Colts that second round pick would have been awful. So that is it for today's video. Just a few moves I think the Commanders should make. Trade William Jackson III as soon as possible. Eric Flowers would definitely upgrade this offensive line, and I still think they need some help at linebacker. So that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that like button. Get me to 9K, please, guys, and peace.